So welcome to, this is the Marion Davies guest house. What originally was over to your left when you walked by was the William Randolph Hearst and Marion Davies very large home. So this is what remains, unfortunately, is the guest house.
So this was what the house looked like.
The original home.
That's a big house.
Yeah, it's what the Annenberg house is now.
Yeah.
And if you notice that the posts in front of the Annenberg house are the same footprint as the posts that were in front of the mansion. And the pool is original.
So picture if we were to go back in time. It was the house, I think, was maybe built around the 1920s. And William Randolph Hearst, as some of you know from Hearst Publishing, was a very successful publisher. He's married. I think he has 5 boys. And when he was first growing up, he fell in love with his first wife, who was a showgirl. And he married her, and they have 5 children. And she kind of left her little showgirl ways behind and became a society woman. And she was living in New York, living the very fancy life. And William Randolph Hearst went and saw another show, and he saw a young Marion Davies. And maybe she was about 18 years old.
18 or 19, yeah.
And he was 35 years older than her. And he was smitten with her. And even though he had a wife and everything. And I think she was, like she said, maybe I started out as a gold digger, but I fell in love. And they never, William Randolph Hearst and his wife Millicent never divorced. But he started a film company mainly to showcase Marion in movies. So picture they meet in 1915. They were together for over 30 years. And like you were saying, she was a very smart, she was one of the executives of Cosmopolitan Pictures. So they have Cosmopolitan Pictures. They move out here to California, where of course everything's happening here. And MGM and Cosmopolitan Pictures join forces in Culver City. So they leave New York, come out here, and William Randolph first started buying up little properties. But I'm going to focus on more what was happening here. This, if you got an invitation to a party here, this is the invitation you wanted to come to. And even all along here, it was known as the Gold Coast. And we had several movie stars lived up and down these homes. And like Harold Lloyd would be, when you pulled up into the parking lot, the house to the left was Harold Lloyd. And as you go down, like John F. Kennedy would stay at Peter Lawford's house, which was his brother-in-law, with his sister, which would be Joan Kennedy, was it? I believe. But all along the line, you have Mary Pickford, Douglas Fairbanks. So this was the place. And magnificent parties along here. If we want, we could even go into, should we show them the pictures in the other room so you can see what an idea of how appropriate it was. And Marion would have theme parties. So let's say one of them would be a circus theme. She would call up MGM and she says, okay, I'm having a party, circus theme. I need a merry-go-round. I need costumes for everybody. And people would come. They would stay the night. They had, was it about 110 rooms, Kathy?
110 bedrooms, 36 bathrooms.
So you got the idea. She would even send cards, or you would come here, you would spend the entire weekend. And so we have over here Joan Crawford, Douglas Fairbanks, who was married to Mary Pickford. Over here we have Harpo Marx, Jean Harlow. This one I think was the Tyrolean theme. Over here we have Leslie Howard, Marion Davies, Roman Navarro. So as you know, Marion, she was very generous too. So picture during the Depression, she would invite everybody over here to the house on Sunday. And she would say, everybody come over for a barbecue, whether you were the grip or whether you were the star. And people were struggling during that time. And she would literally just take off a ring and says, oh, I don't wear this ring anymore, and would give it to somebody knowing that they might need financial help. Or she goes, I don't wear this fur coat anymore. Please have it. And she was just that kind of a woman, very, very gracious. And she made a lot of her money in real estate. And do you want to add on about how the finances all worked out with the Hearsts and Marion?
During the Great Depression, he got overextended in some of his business adventures, and he was close to being foreclosed on by the bank. So she wrote him a check for $1 million, and bailed him out. She sold some properties, she sold some jewelry, she had cash on hand, but people don't realize that she really did care for him, and she's the only person that helped him when he became overextended like that. But so she was very generous. She was very savvy, smart, and a great philanthropist, and was very interested in pediatric illnesses. And so she started a Children's Health Foundation Center over in Westwood, which still exists at the UCLA Children's Hospital. Very, very generous with everything.
And the reason we don't have the existing house, people say like, why would you tear down that house? But what happened was, originally it was being built by I believe a set designer he started
Yeah.
in. And so it didn't really have great structure to start with. And that's why Julia Morgan was brought in, because you had to know how to build on sand. So that's why, people say, why would they ever do that? But what they did do is they lived here probably till about the 1940s, and then World War II broke out. And there was this night in Santa Monica, we call it the Battle of Santa Monica. They're upstairs in the main house, and William Randolph Hearst hears all these planes and he hears all this noise, and he thought we were being attacked. So he just drops down, and he's, that's it for him. It's a breaking point. And all it was just a plane that went off course, and everybody got all alarmed. So what he did is he moved up to, I believe, to the Shasta home,
Wintune, up in Mount Shasta, all right? And they lived in Mount Shasta during the duration of the World War II.
Right. There's some cute stories about Marion Davies. One of the things I've heard is if you go up to Hearst Castle, they would invite all the movie stars up there, and everybody would go up there for a weekend, and they would entertain everybody from Charles Lindbergh, Winston Churchill, I think Albert Einstein. I mean, it's just amazing people, and of course all the movie stars. And once Marion found out, like William Randolph Hearst had a rule, like when you came to dinner, everybody was allowed one drink, and then you would have dinner, and it was very formal. But Winston Churchill, I don't think, was interested in the one drink rule. And once Marion found out that they liked the same gin, she said, oh, if you lift up any of the backs of the toilets, you'll see that there's the gin in the back of the toilets. So, and she had her favorite little gin there. But she really, I think, gave Hearst all his joy. And they were really quite a couple. There was a point where they were going to get married. His wife, Millicent, said, yes, I will get a divorce. And I think the rule that they were going to split, she was going to get 49% of Hearst Publishing,
Right.
and he was going to keep 51. They go down to Mexico. They land, just confirming, did Millicent sign the papers? I want 51% of Hearst Publishing. And Hearst said, no way. Marion was crushed. She really hoped to have married William Randolph Hearst. So that was pretty devastating. But they were together till the day they died, till the day he died.
Right.
And when he did die, they were living up in Beverly Hills at her home. Now, you gotta remember, she really did have her own money. And the story goes, as he is dying, the sons gather around, William Randolph Hearst, even though he's still married to Millicent. They all gather around, he's dying, they give Marion a sedative, she goes to sleep, he dies. They go through the house and take away every picture, anything that even showed that William Randolph Hearst and Marion Davies were together.
Never. Yeah.
Ever. So she wakes up and she's, it's just wiped out. And then of course they have the big funeral in San Francisco, and there's Millicent, the widow, walking, the grieving widow. But Marion Davies said, I don't care about the money. I had the time.
But the actual tile work, this is this beautiful marble tile. If it wasn't covered, there's gorgeous marble tile, beautiful hand-painted tiles on the bottom. It's a pool that would not be allowed to be built in our time because it goes for 3 feet and then drops precipitously to like 9 feet very quickly. And the columns are placed exactly how they were, as close to as how the mansion was. So when you looked at the mansion, remember you saw those columns? They tried to put the columns in the exact same space. And if you notice that staircases going up, so they tried to copy some of the architectural aspects so you got an idea of how big it was spatially.